very risky. So the marriage rules are like this. The individual married outside of their language group to a person of the opposite moiety. Now moiety, this is something that distinguishes the Kulin from all of the surrounding nations. They observe what in common parlance now for Indigenous people, say in Northern Australia, would be referred to as a skin group. And in the Kulin world, there were two. So it's a moiety system, and the moieties have names. If I went back to the map, you will see that some of the clan names, for example, Wurundjeri-willam and Willam, are in capitals. That means that they are of the Wa moiety. Now, of the 5 clans that make up the Woiwurrung language group, all but one of them, in fact, you can see that's capital, Murrumbalak, Kurrajong-Balak. Only the Gunung-Willam-Balak is a different moiety. They are Bunjil. As you can see by that, they are Bunjil. So the rule, to go back to the rules, you have to marry somebody outside of your language group, and it has to be of the opposite moiety, which means for, say, the people of the Wurundjeri-willam, that they would be marrying, for preference, they would marry people in the Goulburn and Ovens River valleys, north of the Dividing Range. That is their preference. Now, marriages are arranged. This is not unique. It was arranging marriages was a feature of many human societies right across the world. But women are given in marriage when they reach a certain age, that is to say they're old enough to have children, and men married when they had completed a series of knowledge acquisition exercises, if you like, when they had reached a point in their understanding of what the world was about, that they could be essentially self-sufficient. Which means that whilst the girls were being married, or the women were being married at perhaps in certainly early teenage years, the men were probably in their 30s. So there is a disparity in age between them. Marriages, as I said, are given, they're arranged, and they're arranged generally by the father in consultation with somebody in an appropriate clan. So if I'm a Wurundjeri-willam man and I have a young daughter, she reaches childbearing age, I will be looking for somebody in the Goulburn River of an appropriate clan, of an appropriate moiety at least. And when the other aspect of this, when I give that girl in marriage, she goes to live with her husband's group. Now, that is not to say that we don't see her again. We see her regularly. It doesn't mean that she has put aside any obligations she might have acquired by virtue of being born into the Wurundjeri-willam. Whatever her totem is, for example, that will still exist, and so from time to time she will need to come back here. Moreover, when she has children, if she has a son, that boy, when he reaches the age when he should begin thinking about his religious upbringing, he will be mentored by his mother's brother. So he will need to come from his group, which is on the other side of the Dividing Range. What this means, of course, is that there are ongoing marriage exchange. Now, you may think, well, the poor girl, she's grown up here, she's used to walking around the Yarra Valley, she speaks Woiwurrung, how's she going to get on? But of course, you have to remember that her mother came from the place that she's going to. So she grew up, like all people in traditional Aboriginal society grew up speaking more than one language, because in the case of the Wurundjeri-willam, her mother was a Taungurung person. She spoke Taungurung. Her father, of course, was a Woiwurrung speaker, and so she grew up speaking both of them. And there's been regular contact between the groups over the whole course of her childhood, so she's not being cast off into strangers, as it were. Okay, so they're connected, as I say, the Kulin people are connected in various ways. Firstly, they're connected by kin, as we've just seen. They're connected by thought also. All of the Kulin clans have the same framework in terms of religious belief, the same ancestral creator spirits. Bunjil, who was the major one, who took the form of an eagle, did take, sometimes he was a man, sometimes he was an eagle, and Wa, the little raven. These are the major figures, but there are also a lot of other smaller, localised creator spirits, and all people within the Kulin world had this same sort of framework in terms of their creation, the cosmology of their world. And they're connected also by tongue, as we've seen, as I've said already, that they all spoke related languages, and Kulin is a word in all of the languages that means human being. So they can be readily understood, partly because the languages, say in the case of Boonwurrung and Woiwurrung, are relatively similar, but also because people grow up with parents of different language groups. And just to spell this out in terms of the local clans, the Woiwurrung clans, it gets more complicated all the time. The Wurundjeri, the actual clan from the eastern side of the Maribyrnong River right through to the source of the Yarra is called Wurundjeri-Balak, but it is split up into two groups. That is Wurundjeri-willam and Balak-willam. And further, the Wurundjeri-willam is split up into three sections. The section that we are, in whose country we are now, is that of, it's on the south bank of the Yarra, which stretches from Gardeners Creek up to and including along the Yarra and up to the source of the Yarra and in the northern slopes of the Dandenong Ranges. Each of these clans, all three sections, and every clan had a clan head. In Woiwurrung, these people are referred to as Nurungata, or in the Boonwurrung clans, they're referred to as Awit. So we can name the Nurungata at the time. This is at the time that Europeans first arrived. So in the Wurundjeri-willam three sections, there were three clan heads. Mr. de Villiers, Billy Baleri, who is this individual pictured here, and he's in the. I'm getting confused. In the Balak-willam patriot line, Mr. de Villiers was the clan head. Because the Wurundjeri-willam was split up into three, there are of course three clan heads, and they're Billy Baleri, Bebujan and Bowen Upton. Bebujan, who was the clan head for the section that was on the northern side of the Yarra around Heidelberg, was the father of William Barrack, who subsequently became the Nurungata and was in fact the last surviving Nurungata of the Wurundjeri clans. If you wanted this spread out in a map, I'm very fond of maps, what we get is, this is the total area of the Wurundjeri, well, the Woiwurrung speakers is all of that. Oops. But these three clans here are not Wurundjeri. These are the clans that I mentioned: Murrumbullock, Gunnermullumbullock and Kurrajongbulluk. They are not Wurundjeri, but they speak the same language. Collectively, these 5 clans, the estates of these 5 clans take in all of the drainage basin of the Yarra River. So basically, and this is a common feature in determining the boundaries of clan estates, in this case, or particularly language group estates boundaries. In this case, where water drains into the Yarra, then it is Woiwurrung territory. Where water drains into the bay or into Bass Strait, then it is Boonwurrung territory. And you can see this is the case. These are the streams, the minor streams here. There's the Yarra. That is Kunung Creek. And there are various other smaller streams, all draining ultimately into the Yarra. Thus, they are part of the Woiwurrung speaking clans' estates. Okay, so that's the most difficult part of it. From now on, it's pretty plain sailing. As I said, for day-to-day purposes, people split up into smaller groups, and there are any number of illustrations of the sort of camp scenes that people saw. I mean, I think there's no such thing as an unposed photograph of this sort of thing, and of course, if it's a painting such as this, or watercolour, then some of it is bound to be artistic license. So that's just to give you some idea of the sort of scene that you might find on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to talk about how people actually made a living. It's important because on a day-to-day basis they were here. They were not in this particular area. They weren't in the area of Kew, I have to say at the beginning, 365 days of the year. Within traditional Indigenous culture, movement is intrinsic. People moved for a wide variety of reasons, such as they moved according to seasons. By and large, I'd say at this time of year, people would be beginning to move up to the high country. All of the clans, every clan has, as part of their estate, a high country and a low country. The last place you want to be in winter is in the low country because it's open and it gets cold and windy and rainy. So as autumn sets in, people are moving to their higher country. They're moving up along the Yarra, they're moving up Mullum Creek or up Kunung Creek and ultimately into the Yarra Valley and moving into more sheltered higher country in the north, in this case the northern slopes of the Dandenongs. That's one reason